Okay, so again, we're going to be working with recruiting and hiring costs. We want to make sure this is going to go a little bit different. We're going to include some algebra and be solving for values, but we are going to be using the same types of formulas that the total recruiting costs are advertising plus interviews plus hiring costs. And the hiring costs is the rated commission times the sale price of the home. So if you don't have those in your notes, you'll want to get those into your notes. All right, let's start with our first example. We have Third Federal Bank. It's looking for a new director of human resources. The recruiting budget is $25,000. So far, they've spent $7,500 on advertising, $5,260 on interviewing. The bank is willing to pay 5.5% commission to a broker to sell the new director's house. Okay, but they didn't give us the selling price of the house. That's what they want to know. What is the maximum selling price which the bank would pay 5.5% commission? So if you remember, our total recruiting costs are equal to the advertising cost, which was $7,500, the interviewing cost of $5,260, and then the hiring cost, which was the commission on the house. They said they would pay 5.5%. Remember, before we use percents, we always change them to a decimal. So we move the decimal over 2 places to the left. So we have 0.055 times something. That's the part we don't know. This right here would be the value that the home sold for, and that's what we don't know. That's what we'll be solving for. So if we come back over here to the total, they told us the total was $25,000. That's the maximum they're going to pay. So now we have a problem that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and add these two values, the 7,500 and the 5,260 together, because they are just numbers, so we can do that. Neither of them had an X. And we get a total of 12,760. Now we have a basic algebra equation to solve. We want to solve for the X over here, which means we need to move everything else to the opposite side of the equation. We start with our 12,760. It's positive, so to remove it, we subtract it from both sides. Leave our equal sign there. Over here, we still have the 0.055x. And then on the left, we have 25,000 minus our 12,760, which comes out to 12,240. We have one more step to solve this equation. We have 0.055 times x. To solve and remove it, you do the opposite of multiplying and you divide by that number. So we're dividing both sides by 0.055. Here we get 1 and just have an x left. On the left side, we go ahead and divide. Wow, that is a big selling price for a home. Okay, and that tells us how much the home could have sold for. And it's $222,545.45. Let's do another example. So this time we're talking about Community Health Center. They're looking for a facility director, and they've budgeted $20,000 for recruiting costs. So that's what their total has to come to, or that's the most it can come to. They've spent $4,300 and $2,500 on advertising and interviewing, and again, they're willing to pay 5.5% commission on whatever the new director's home sells for. What is the maximum selling price they would pay for? So let's go ahead. The total, $20,000, has to be equal to or less than equal to the $4,300 plus the $2,500 plus the 0.055. Remember, we moved that decimal 2 places to the left, and times x, because this is the price of the home and that's the part we don't know yet. Again, we want to solve this, so we start by combining these two like terms. The 4,300 and the 2,500. That gives us 6,800. And it's equal to 20,000. Right, we solved from there, so we want to go ahead and subtract the 6,800 from both sides, leaving us with 0.055x on the right side. On the left, we get 13,200. And finally, to solve for our x, we divide both sides by 0.055. And we get $240,000 even is the maximum selling price for that home to stay within their budget. Right, here's another example. Okay, so again, we have the same type of example. Maybe pause, go through it, see if you get the same answer as I do. Okay, so here is this management of operations position, and they're willing to spend $90,000 or less to find this person. So far, they spent $9,500 in advertising, $50,425 in interviewing, and they're willing to pay 6% commission on the sale price of the home. Okay, so remember, our total of $90,000 is coming from the advertising budget plus the interviewing budget plus 6% commission on the price of the house. So again, move the decimal 2 places to the left so we can use that 6%. We get 0.06 times whatever the house sells for. We're going to call that x because that's what we don't know. Go ahead and combine your like terms. So the 9,500 plus 50,425. That gives us $59,925 plus 0.06x, and it's all equal to 90,000. Again, we're trying to solve for x, so we need to move everything to the other side. We start by moving the $59,925 by subtracting it from both sides. And we're left with this $30,075 equals 0.06x. Again, it's 0.06 times x, so we do the opposite and divide by both sides by 0.06x. Excuse me, by 0.06. And we get that this house could sell for $501,250.